in the All Things Editing subreddit, there's this kind of competition challenge thing that says, and I've responded to this in the past with talking about that I streamed this challenge, and they were cool with it, so that's why I'm doing it again. This is a weekly post on this subreddit where users will have the chance to edit a single story snippet of about 500 words. Others will then vote on which user has made the best edit of the story snippet, and the winner will be awarded the Platinum Reddit Award at the end of the week-long contest. The contest is every week, starting and ending on Saturday. The point of this exercise is complete editing freedom. You can change the original text as much as you want, and even go back and edit your response as you want. It's amazing how many different ways one part of a story can be written. Also, once again, please message me with your own about 500 word story snippets so we can have a variety for this contest going forward. Oh, I might do that. This is the first example I've gotten from someone else to use for this contest instead of my own writing. So thanks to All Dream No Drive for this submission. So first I'll read through it, and that gives me an idea of the overall point of the story and stuff. The boy shook his head. I see. Well, at least I know you can understand me. Master Ilhand paused and stroked his wispy beard, seeming to search for the right words. The captain of the guard seems to think you are a demon. I'm not, blurted the boy, his brows furrowing under the bandage wrapped around his head. Master Ilhan laughed. No, I did not think so either. You don't exactly look like a demon, he said, eyes twinkling. And I do believe a demon would have prepared a better lie about how it came to our gates. Devious fiends. Still, the old porter tapped his cheek in thought. So presumably Master Ilhan is an old porter also, but I wasn't sure about that. It would be helpful to know if you travelled with someone. I can't recall anything, or anyone. Feeling more at ease, the boy had found his voice again. With each new word it grew stronger, more firm. Master Ilhan was friendly enough, and the man seemed to have good intentions. I'm sorry. So this is still the boy speaking, I believe. From what the healers told me, I'm not surprised. Your head is quite bruised, like you'd been hit with a rock. A very heavy one. All I remember is running, being chased. Howlers. Master Ilhan's eyes slipped down to the boy's bandaged wounds. He nodded knowingly. Impressive you managed to escape at all, and without a mount no less. The boy shrugged. Well, no matter. Perhaps with time and healing your memories will return. As Master Ilhan stood up, a series of cracks sounded up and down his spine. The old porter winced before continuing. You're welcome to stay here as long as you need. We'll prepare a room for you upstairs, and when you've recovered enough, I'm sure we can find something to keep you busy. Idle hands are the demon's smithy. Tell me, boy, do you like animals? The boy thought for a moment, searching the recesses of his memories. Animals. Like before, nothing came, but he found himself nodding regardless. After all, he couldn't remember not liking animals. Then it settled. A caravanserai? A caravanserai could never have too many stable hands. I'm guessing it's like... Is that a real world term? I've just not heard it before. I'm going to look it up. I'm guessing it means like someone in charge of a caravan? A caravanserai was a roadside inn where caravanners, could rest and recover from the day's journey. So it's like It's like an inn for entire caravans of people, I guess. Cool. And now I have too many stable hands. However, it won't do to keep calling you boy all the time, will it? We need to find you a suitable name, for the time being at least. The porter closed his eyes, searching for something. His expression brightened once he found it. How about Ajaz? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I think Master Ilhand is a porter, and by that they mean a porter. The porter is like the one in charge of the caravanserai stopping point place, and the boy has come to the caravanserai's gates. How it came to our gates. So yeah, I think that's what I put together. How about Ajaz? Ajaz. The boy mouthed it silently, feeling the name on his tongue. Well, it was as good a name as any. Certainly better than boy, anyways. He nodded, and for the first time, a smile found its way onto his face. Ajaz it is. Well then, my young friend, Master Ilhan said, bowing slightly. Sleep calls to me like the moon to the tides. The porter's brown robes brushed over the tiles as he made his way over to the chamber door. Rest now. I'll come see you again in the morning. Master Ilhan? Yes? Does it mean anything? Ajaz? Master Ilhan's hand was upon the door, but he turned and smiled. It means miracle. Nice. Okay, so now we're editing it. So one thing I'd like to fix, and I believe from like the context of this, the original document over here, it might be in the middle of a story or something, so there might be context already given. But if we take this as its own thing, then there's no context given. So the whole situation was quite difficult to get my head around, and it was kind of spread out with Master Ilhand and the porter and the caravanserai. So that's something I'd like to improve that kind of sticks out, just to kind of frame the scene a little better so that we're not kind of learning things across such a big bit of text sort of thing. Anyway, so let's just go from the start. It is a little odd that he shakes his head in response to nothing, and we never find out what that question was that he said no to. But I'm guessing it might be the case. The reason there's no question is so that we start with the boy, because the boy is the viewpoint character. That's the sense I get from this this text. So I'd probably start a little earlier so that we can sort of frame that and have the question, where actually are they? Is it ever established? We'll prepare a room for you upstairs. So they're not in the room. This is a caravanserai. So it looks like kind of a courtyard kind of deal. So he's got through the gate and now he's in the courtyard, and that's where they're talking, is my guess. Although the way it ends, rest now, I'll come see you in the morning, implies that they are in the room, or that the boy is going to rest here wherever he is right now. Which, if he's not in the room, then what's the point of offering a room and not giving it to him? Yeah, so that's a little confusing. Made his way over to the chamber door. So they've did they move to the room at some point? He stood up, so he was sitting down. So I think they must be in the boy's room that they've already prepared. So maybe that was just a mistake in the wording or something. So maybe we start with the boy No, let's have him just. I have no context, no previous knowledge of what a caravanserai would look like on the inside or anything. I'm just making stuff up, so this is, take this with a grain of salt, of course. Um, from the ceiling. So now, so now we've got the context of where he is, kind of visually at least, and introducing the man, and I just decided he's an old man for some reason. But I am, instead of repeating name. Do you have a name? You say silently, shook his head. That kind of emphasizes he's not speaking yet. And then, at least I know you understand me, comments on the fact he's not speaking yet. I like the personality of the boy and the way he just blurts it out. That's cool. Oh, the captain of the guard. Okay. So really, it should start with the captain of the guard. And as ranked through him. So he's not sitting down, he's now standing. The old man. Yeah, so now I have the guard as well. Captain of the guard seems to think you're a demon. Maybe. So to indicate that, because if the guard is throwing him in right now, it's probably the first time the old man knows about this boy. So that's the thing he shouted, was that it's a demon or something. You're a demon. I'm not. So in my own head, this is the way things are emphasized. And like, you can just do that and it has like the same meaning, but you don't have to like italicize everything to exactly match how someone would say it. But if it like adds to the tone that they're taking and it adds to the meaning, then use italics to do so. Like this, and also to avoid confusion. So this sentence could be, you don't exactly look like a demon, you just look like a monster. But I feel like the point of this is that you don't look like a demon, even if you are. presumably in a previous chapter or something, the boy would have told the guard what the lie was, but we don't actually have the lie in here, and I'm not sure what that would be. Or the reason they came to the gates. I find the old porter reference to be quite confusing, because all we have is Master Ilhan. I'm not sure why they'd be a master, but they'd just be a porter as well. And how the boy would know that they are a porter. Yeah, I think that's why I keep replacing him with old man. So I think I'll just change it for that. Let's turn into just a non-old porter now. Yeah, so I feel like it should be indicated why he's feeling more at ease. So I'd probably have like more description about Master Ilhan to indicate kind of the boy's comfort and feeling comfortable around him. And so like unthreatening, warm maybe, and that puts him more at ease, and then it would have more of a reason. There's also the kind of slight discrepancy with finding his voice when he already said earlier something about why he was there, and he's shouted, "I am not." So maybe I wouldn't. I would just remove this. And maybe just like change it, instead of about finding his voice, because he's got his voice, change it to be like just feeling more comfortable. The text, it feels like there's too much going on, too much stuff being told to the reader. The way I think about it is, in the reader's head, things written are like obviously linear, so they experience them in a linear fashion, but also kind of in real time. So even if you're like slowing things, so this bit might be just might take like 1 second, but it takes like 20 seconds to read. So it's kind of like it's going in slow-mo. If it was a film, it would be going in slow-mo, and the boy is looking around, and we're looking past the rugs and the beads and the tassels, and then end on the old man as like a camera shot. So how much description and just general text you put into a moment affects how long that moment takes in the reader's head. So if you have, I can't recall anything or anyone, and then he could feel himself opening up to this man. He didn't know him, at least he didn't think he did, but he felt like an old friend somehow. I'm sorry. So while they're reading this for like 10 seconds, then the boy is not speaking. So it's like the boy says that and just implicitly stops speaking for 10 seconds and then continues speaking, which is fine if like, so like this could be in slow-mo, like a slow-mo 10 seconds, and it actually only took 3 seconds or something in real life, but he's still pausing in this dialogue, like in the film version, which can fit and be fine, like if he's thinking about stuff that changes thought and he's going to talk about something else, or it's going to change how he phrases this next bit or something. But I don't think that's the case here. I don't think he knows this guy well enough to actually be genuinely sorry, to warrant like thinking so hard about how sorry he is in this part. So I'd probably move that there, is the conclusion to that. But that's the kind of principle I think about when you're thinking about text and how it actually affects the flow, how the narrative is experienced by the reader. So obviously there's a lot that happened before this. The boy, so I'm just going to note down what happened before this. The boy came to the gate. He said the reason he came to the gate, he was seen to by healers. The head guard saw him and thinks he's a demon. The healers and head guard communicated with Master Ilhan. So all of this happened before this chapter, which is quite a lot. So there's quite a lot of context to what the boy's been through so far. This isn't really the beginning of his story or even this part of his story. Like, all of this happened beforehand. So I'd probably say this definitely isn't the first opening to a story from that. But anyway, and you can, so to be clear, like, this could be the start of a story with some more editing and changes to it. So if it started with the boy is already in a room and the guard comes to get him and take him to this other guy, and maybe they talk about like the boy's shyness and doesn't want to respond, doesn't speak, doesn't respond to the guard that's taking him, and the guard is like, you're not a prisoner here, or you're a demon, or whatever, then that will indicate that there is this backstory to it. And then mentioning that backstory here is fine, because you've hinted at that backstory before. But currently, none of that backstory is hinted at. We just find out about stuff the boy already knows. So then about this situation. So it feels like it doesn't start at the right place. And the boy doesn't know what Howlers are, which I feel is a good opportunity. So even though he clearly used to know what Howlers are, because he was chased by them, he doesn't know what they are now. So it would be a good opportunity for the boy to say, boy found. Like an abyss. I'll just say abyss for now. And I'm going to put it in square brackets so that I can change it. I'm going to find it to change later. And it should have it like a cool name. Lucky to escape. So maybe here is where we put that. Okay. Oh. Did I slip down to the boys' badge rooms? I probably wouldn't say slip down. I just say glance down. Slip down always makes me think, like, when something slips on something, like if my hand slips down a wall, it's like touching the wall and like stroking down, moving down it while touching it at all times. So when his eyes slip down to the boy's bandaged wounds, his eyes are like glued to the boy, and it is moving down his body until it gets to the wounds, which I don't think gives the right impression. So just glance down to the boy's bandaged wounds. If you like saw an alien ship and your eyes slipped over its surface, then you'd be looking at all of its surface because you're like trying to figure out what it is and pick out details or whatever. But in this case, he's not trying to analyze all of the boy's body. He just wants to look at the wounds. That's his focus. So glancing down at the bandaged wounds would bit better. I'd probably plant somewhere up here where the wounds are. Maybe he's like holding them or something like that. Oh, there's bandage wrapped around his head, but there must be another bandage and other wounds. Because, like, plants down, that could be kind of anywhere, and the reader could imagine, like, a strange place for a wound to be, or a strange place for this old man to be looking. So I'd just, like, make it clear by just saying somewhere. Simple as that. Okay, so this is like a split line. This is one line being said in one go, but it's again kind of interrupted by this, so this comes off to the reader as a pause in speaking. So he stops speaking and then continues speaking, but it's actually the same sentence. So I'll just move that out of the way first. So that's the full line. But he's like, what is he doing? He's bowing. So there's a few ways I would do this. One would be to have that there, and then just have that as kind of its own sentence. And even if it's slightly broken, that when we're talking about dialogue in particular, it's easily forgiven. But then it's like easier for it to be its own thing. The other way is to just put this bow somewhere else. So he smiled and bowed slightly. And just like that. And then you still get the bow, and we know that he's doing the bow during this. So it kind of works either way, but doesn't have that problem of interrupting and having a pause in the middle. As an aside, this brown robes. This is the first time we've heard of robes and that they are brown. But the boy would know this from the moment he gets into the room. So that description should be up here somewhere. On window seat is dull brown robe flashing. It's the plethora of gaudy pillows. Because otherwise, now they've learned this, the reader has to like reimagine all of this scene with now he's got brown robes on. Also, so the action is he's making his way over to the door. This is just a byproduct, the brushing of the tiles. So, over the whole tiles. Road? You could say making his way over, but strode is like a clearer visual for the reader to latch onto. Master Ilhan's hand was upon the door. This is kind of passive voice, which is like a technical thing, but just means like he turned is past tense. If you said, so like he turned is past tense. He had turned is, even in this past tense world, it was before that. So it's something that already happened and is no longer happening right now. So that's what it feels like to read his hand was upon the door, it went to the door already before this point. So instead, so you can like reword this to be active voice. So Master Ilhan touched the door or something. Or you can just move this to earlier when it actually happened. So I'm going to say it happened up here. Master for the door handle. Do that. Maybe just have that. Yeah, so he says yes and then turns. That's fine. Does it mean anything? Ajaz. Master Ilhan smiled warmly. It means miracle. Yeah, I think that'll do. And so, yeah, there's just like cleaning up of stuff or whatever. But I think that's about done. That's how I'd edit it. And now what I'll do, or later when I've cleaned it up, is to go back to the here and just post that in a comment as my edit. And I'll like give them the link to this stream as well, so they can kind of, whoever wants to can learn from how I go about things and the kind of principles I talked about. So I tend to do this kind of stream each day. I've only just started it, but it's been roughly each day so far. So if anyone wants to like DM me a Reddit post or whatever for me to edit live on stream, or some topic they're interested in me talking about to do with writing, you can DM me on Twitch, or DM me or send me a chat message on Reddit, and then I'll kind of store that away for something to look at in the future. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it interesting and perhaps even educational. That's kind of the point of this thing.